You know, one of the greatest blessings in my life is to live in a good neighborhood with good neighbors. I'm very fortunate in that regard. And in this game, you want to be a good neighbor and have good neighbors. You want to help your neighbor if you want to win, because their points are also your points. Howdy, neighbor. Hey, welcome back to my game room. This game here, Good Neighbor, was first published in 1986 by Das Spiel in Germany, designed by Alex Randolph, of course. And they called the game Gute Nachbarn, which, even if your German is sehr schlecht like mine is, you can probably figure out that that means good neighbor. They used a wooden board and some neat little plastic discs for the playing pieces. And then the game was also published in the 1990s under the name Veleno by Del Negro in Italy. They produced it in several languages, but I find this very interesting. The word veleno in Italian means poison. Quite a different tack than the original Good Neighbor. I wonder what compelled them to change that name. It's like something was lost in translation there. But we chose to go with the original name in English and with the original rules as laid down by the inventor of the game, Alexander Randolph. Here's how to play The Good Neighbor. The board is an array of 37 holes in our usual NewVenture hardwood game board. There are 37 pegs, 8 red, 8 yellow, 8 green, 8 orange, 4 blue, and 1 white. That one white peg is the key to the entire game, and you'll see why in just a bit. Let me explain how the game works first, then you'll better understand the value of the pegs when we get to the scoring phase. All 37 pegs are mixed and placed randomly onto the game board. A starting player is randomly selected, and everyone will take turns in the usual leftward turn-by-turn fashion. The white peg is the only peg that players will move in the game, and every move of the white peg will be a capturing move. The white peg captures by displacement, that is, by landing on the same space as a neighboring peg, which captures that colored peg for the active player, which they will add to their own score pile. Each player in turn will move the white peg one space, capturing a colored peg. The game will continue in this way until the white peg is isolated. That is, if there are no colored pegs adjacent to the white peg, it can't capture, and the game is immediately over. Then it's on to the scoring phase. The blue pegs are worth 10 points each. The value of the other colored pegs depends on how many of them you've collected. Separate the colors and multiply the total by itself. Here's a handy chart for the mathematically challenged, like me, but you can see that the quantity of each color is simply squared, or as the mathletes like to say, raised to the second power. Now when all that's been multiplied and added together, add the score of the player to your left to your own total. That's your good neighbor, and that's your final score. And the player with the highest total points wins the game. Strategically, you want to set your neighbor up for some good scoring options, but don't give away the farm. Because everyone's score relies on their neighbors, you want to put those scoring pegs that you have won on the table so that everybody can see where you're headed. It would be possible to play that you're keeping all those secret, but that would really be hard, really be chaotic, unless you got a perfect memory. Just a few notes about the NewVenture version of the game. If you've played Veleno before, you'll note that the color assignments are different, but they're still just the same balance. That we just chose to use different colors. And the original rules say that the player turns and the scoring for the good neighbor go to the right, but most Western games go to the left, and so we just changed the direction. If you don't like that, you can change the direction back again and go either way, but you just want to all agree on that before you start. I have an idea that that's based on the experiences that Alexander Randolph had when he was living in Asia. And that's the way they generally play turn by turn. Over there is to the right. There's a very recent game released by IDW that's called Tonari that was designed by Bruno Fedudi. It's very clearly inspired by the Good Neighbor game. I saw a comparison between Tonari and Veleno that was recorded by Z Garcia on the Dice Tower Network. The pieces are not just pieces. They have different powers to them, so that if you capture them, you get extra turns, or you get to break the rules in some way or another. He applied a theme of deep sea fishing to the game and changed the board around a bit and eliminated that good neighbor part of the scoring. But you can still see the similarities in how that lays out. I definitely look forward to getting a chance to playing Tonari so that I can kind of compare for myself. But it's less of a pure strategy game than the Good Neighbor. The Good Neighbor has very simple rules. Scoring is a little tricky the first time through, but you get the hang of it right away. Strategy gets a little deeper the more you play, of course, and it's very replayable because the setup is random every time. The Kickstarter is going on in the fall season of 2024, so if that's where we're at, you can click on over there, and for a modest investment in the process, we'll reward you with a copy of the game. There are 6 other games there to choose from as well, and some add-ons too, so be sure and check out that Kickstarter. So as usual, thanks for your support, and be a good neighbor, and be sure to play every day.